You guys like music?
I love music, especially retro music. Oh, wait. We have music from retro.
Oh, that's a coincidence.
That's so bad.
And by the way, if you guys like music, I love music. Maybe you've noticed that there's like guitars in the background and stuff.
That's right.
And I also do another podcast
Yes.
about music. If you could look that up. We have links, I think, in some of the Cinemondo videos, but it's called Confusing and Ambiguous or something like that. I can't even remember what it's called.
I can't remember what it's called. It is an actual music podcast. So you guys
but this is a musical trailer, right? This is for a movie called Retro, right?
From the movie. And it stars Suriya and Pooja. Now both those actors are fantastic. And I love in the trailer, there's a great scene where they're singing the steps and she wants to be with him and she's like, I hope you can give everything up and not be a criminal anymore. And he's like, oh, I'll do anything to be with you. And you see him kind of this far away look in his eye, like, yeah. And then they keep showing all these scenes of him, like, being a gangster and killing people. And I don't think it's going to work out. Never know. But I'm sure this will probably be a song that's going to give us a little more information about the movie. But I love Karthik Subbaraj. He has done some of my favorite Indian movies. He did Jigartanda XX, which I absolutely adore. I love Jigartanda XX because it had that whole Clint Eastwood theme through it. And it was just the elephant conservation and the village. Oh my God, so much great stuff in that movie. So one of my favorite movies of that year. And this is his latest film. I cannot wait for it. And it's set in the 70s. Oh my God, I love 70s gangster movies.
Yeah,
so good.
I like actual 70s gangster films, and I also like movies about the 70s.
Anything in the 70s. It's that clothes. They're just cool. Why can't we have clothes like that now? More 70s clothes now. I think it'd be fun. The long, sideburns, the bell bottoms. I hope that they show some of that in this. The glorious 70s. All right, let's get to it.
All right, ready?
Yes.
And
கண்ணாலயன் கண்ணோட மோதும் கண்ணாடி பூவே நீதாண்டி உன்னோட நான் ஒன்னாக வேணும் வேற எதுவும் வேணாண்டி அடி என்னாடி நீ அழகிய நெஞ்சு அல்லாடுதே அழகிய கொஞ்சம் முன்னாடி நான் பழகிய இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன் கால் போகாதடி நீ விட்டாலுமே நான் உன்னோட தான் உனக்குள் பிறந்து உனக்குள் மறிக்கும் ஒரு ஆண் பறவை என்ன பாரடி
Normal butterfly.
கால வச்சு என் காலம் மேல ஏறி போச்சு நாளா இங்க யாரடி நீதான் மொத்தம் பாரடி காதல் வேற ஏதடி நீ நான் மட்டும் தானடி வண்டா கொடி என் வண்ண கிளி என் உள்ளால உன்னால காயம் வழி கண்டே நடி உயிர் கொண்டே நடி என் அன்பான கூடு நீயும் நம்ம சேர்ந்து தொட்ட பூமரம் மலர் மலரா பொழியும் கண்ணால என் கண்ணோட மோதும் கண்ணாடி பூவே நீ தாண்டி உன்னோட நான் ஒன்னாக வேணும் வேற எதுவும் வேணாண்டி அடி என்னாடி நீ அழகிய நெஞ்சு அல்லாடுதே அழகிய கொஞ்சம் முன்னாடி நான் அழகிய இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன்
Behind the scenes. Oh, that's cool. That's camera.
Yeah.
Choreographer.
Yeah.
I love seeing that.
இருட்டுக்காடு ரெண்டே பேர் இடையே கோடு நினப்பில் சூடு நான் வாழும் கம்பி கூடு நேத்தெல்லாம் காத்து கூறாச்சே நித்தமும் நேர போராச்சே முகம் பார்க்கும் நாளாச்சே வாழவே ஆசையாச்சே வண்டார் கொடி என் வண்ண கிளி என் உள்ளால உன்னால காயம் வழி கண்டே நடி உயிர் கொண்டே நடி என் அன்பான கூடு நீயும் மறையாதே இந்த காதலும் மழை மழையா பொழியும் கண்ணால என் கண்ணோட மோதும் கண்ணாடி பூவே நீ தாண்டி உன்னோட நான் ஒன்னாக வேணும் வேற எதுவும் வேணாண்டி அடி என்னாடி நீ அழகிய நெஞ்சு அல்லாடுதே அழகிய கொஞ்சம் முன்னாடி நான் அழகிய இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன் அழகிய இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன்
Painting in the background.
Changing.
Yeah, turning into the cover.
இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன் இப்ப தள்ளாடுறேன் நான் தள்ளாடுறேன் தள்ளாடுறேன் நான் தள்ளாடுறேன் நான் தள்ளாடுறேன்
Yeah. That was, I love how beautiful and minimal that was. That song, gorgeous.
Yeah, just the strings and little bit of percussion in there.
Like great
It's,
voice.
Yeah, and singing, of course. Yeah, and I mean, if you have a good melody and a good singer, a good performance, and an emotional depth to the presentation of the words, then you don't really need a whole lot on top of it, you know, or under it. You can, in some ways, I really like it when people take a song and reduce it down to the basic, the minimum. It's not full of drums and guitars and orchestration, and you know, it's like intimate. It's almost like you're in a small club listening to a trio or something, like 3 or 4 people playing and singing. So it had that kind of nice, calming, kind of intimate vibe to it. It was beautifully produced, but not. It wasn't a wall of sound, you know.
Yeah, see, I feel like that's what's cool about this is a decision for them to make this. It's like a jail, you know, he's in jail, it's his memories be overwrought and too much, and really make it dense and like very either kind of rockin' or kind of just overly orchestral. But I love how they just, like you said, just violins, just this beautiful, almost quiet, peaceful song. So he's inside. You almost feel like that's the inside of his head when he's thinking of her.
Yeah,
like, that's what's helping him survive. And I love it's all set in the prison. They didn't have anything outside. She was more like almost like a hint, like a drawing on the wall or the illustration of her hand. Or I like that they kept it really like he's almost trying to remember pieces of her, you know. And then you know, Santosh Narayanan singing that, and I love how he's just like in this room and he's singing this beautiful lyrics. I mean, and I like how they bring him kind of into it, kind of halfway in, and you get to see him actually vocalizing. That was great. But
it's like in the recording studio or something, he's singing into a nice vocal mic there, and
it didn't look industrial or anything. It was very like comfortable and calming, you know.
Yeah.
And that painting on the wall that was showing the illustrations from the video was a kind of fun touch, you know. They only, you know. But that was beautiful, and I love
it was pretty cool.
Teeny bit of behind the scenes, which I loved.
I like the live action stuff, the camera work and the color. There's a term in cinematography where you have like what they call it a lookup table, and sometimes you'll hear people say LUT, LUT, which is a lookup table, and people who work in color and design and know what that is, and they use them in films. I mean, they're super detailed collections of LUTs that you can get for different looks and different emotional feelings and you know, like cinematic looks. And this one had a very distinct LUT, like there was a color palette to a lot of it. The only thing that kind of took me out of it a little bit was the animation part. There was some of the animation stuff that kind of had the vibe of anime, like style, like a real sort of stylized look. It sort of took the live action people and then sort of transformed them like you were running it through a Photoshop filter. And to me, it kind of I got to feel that it might have been AI It had that kind of look, and for some reason that kind of turns me away from it. And I wish that the kind of intimate, organic, acoustic feeling of the music had come across in the way that they were presenting the images, but I felt like the images had a little bit too much of a digital presence. I don't know if I was, judging this video, I would say I would have preferred the video if it had just been all the live action footage with the beautiful color balances that they were using, and maybe if they had to do there was some stuff near the beginning of this where it looked like they were taking backgrounds and putting a cutout, kind of a cutout of the character in front of a background. They weren't making an attempt to make you think he was really there. It was a very obvious cutout.
Yeah,
and then they were changing the background, very stylized and very artistically done. But then I think it got into some parts in there that just looked a little bit, that had that AI look to me, and I think I'm getting kind of tired of that look,
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there were definitely, like, when there's a limited source of assets, which it seems like there might have been, 'cause they're
maybe
trying
so,
to
yeah.
But at the same time, I wouldn't have minded just seeing more of that, even repeating it. But I like how they started like a little bit, like you said, the graphic kind of impressionistic, and then they got a little more realistic. And like you're saying, the color balance was great because everything's so white. The wall, everything's kind of blown out.
Their prison suits are white. Yeah,
he looks amazing. And so then they like how they go a little deeper and they start showing you a little behind the scenes, which I always love seeing. Even though it takes you out of the movie in a way, it kind of brings you in too. Because I love, like, here's this actor who's having to convey a lot of emotion and things without even speaking. And so I love how they show, like, how the camera was able to ramp up and give him that great, like, swooping, overhead view that they did when he was leaning over the water. And I also love seeing the choreographer. I love them getting a moment where you get to see the choreographer showing how he does the dancing, which is really fun to seeing that. So I love when the behind the scenes people get a moment. Like, you saw the director in there, you got to see some of the DPs. Yeah, it was just cool. And especially, I think, when it's a song, there's a little more freedom to be a little bit more, experimental, whether it's with animation or with more graphics behind the scenes. Like, they try to put a lot in this. So, like, I know the movie won't have any of the animation, maybe in the credit sequence, but I think this is
maybe
really
just for this music video. I think maybe somebody came in to do the music video, and
probably
they used footage from the film. But one thing I like about the behind the scenes things, especially for Indian films, is that in American films, actors, not all the time, but I mean, you look at something like La La Land and you realize that there's American actors who can do dancing and musical type stuff, but just about every major actor, performer, like in Indian cinema, has to also know how to dance, just about all of them. And they have to know how to dance really good. And not only do they have to act and do all the action and do all the emotional stuff that you have to do, that you have to put across in your acting to tell the story, but you also have to sort of jump into this completely other role of being an accomplished dancer who can follow sometimes really complicated choreography. And you have to do it so well that you're better than most of the people in the audience. You don't want people in the audience going, he's really bad, I can dance better than that. These people need to really know how to dance. And it's a thing that if I was an actor, I would be totally disqualified because I can't dance and really can't learn, I think. But
if you have a good choreographer, you might be able to pull it off if they cut it just right. I know exactly.
They'd have to cut 100%. Yeah.
It would be really hard for me to do that. I don't have that kind of control. I don't know. I would love to, but I mean, I'm always impressed with that. And they didn't do a ton of dancing. This felt almost like less like official dancing and more like he's just kind of having fun. Like,
but that's dancing. It is.
But they made it casual. Like, they made it kind of fit into
it. Was. Like stylized movement, and I mean, when he jumps up on the trough and kicks the water and stuff, that's not just, I mean, if I did that, it would look like a guy jumping on a trough, kicking some water, but he was like, he flowed with it. And it was like the motion of him jumping and then the kicking. I know it was a lot of excellent editing as well, but that's the thing that comes across, I think, in in Indian films, and I've always said this, it sometimes is jarring. I know growing up when I was younger, I didn't like musicals because
Yeah.
I felt like when people started singing in movies, it was like, that's not real.
Yeah.
Suddenly people are singing. It's so stupid. It's like, it takes me out of the movie. It's doesn't exist in reality.
That's right.
But then when you get older, you start it occurred to me that what we're seeing with music, and music is so important to me.
Right.
Movies are important to me, and music are important to me. You would think that the combination of those things would be super important to me.
Yeah.
And it has become more important to me because I think in films that do have musical interludes or dancing interludes, like so many Indian films, what we're seeing is the inner life of people.
Yes.
We're seeing a fantasy, and we're seeing the times in your life when your emotions are so driven and so pushed that you feel like when you're so full of love or you're so full of awe, you're experiencing something so beautiful and momentous that if you could dance, perhaps in your mind, you would be dancing and singing, you know.
Exactly.
It represents an emotional level, like a heightened emotional level. And I think that's one of the things I love about Indian films is that they're not afraid to push the emotions. It's what I like about Italian films too, where it's shamelessly in touch with feelings and emotions and in the inner world of a person's thoughts and their feelings, and how you may just be sitting there like this, but inside the music is playing.
Things are going.
And you're dancing, you know. It's something that I think a skilled filmmaker, a skilled storyteller can use properly. And sometimes it does look jarring and it seems out of place and wrong. But in other cases, it so effortlessly shifts into that other dimension where people do sing and dance, you know. It's hard to explain, but
no, I think that was a really good explanation. And I also think there's a level of awareness that this is entertainment.
Yes.
And they'll give you the film, but they'll also give you a moment of like pure like entertainment, like almost like a break, like they call them item.
Yeah.
Bring it in and let these people dance, have music, give people a moment, and then go back to the movie. Like it's okay if there's just like this break. That's just part of the fun. And I've started really looking forward to those moments where again, I wasn't a big musical fan, but now they're like some of my favorite parts of Indian films is when they go into those item numbers. I love that.
I think you have to be a little bit more, I mean, I hate to use the word sophisticated, but you have to be a little bit more of a discerning film consumer to appreciate when a filmmaker takes you out of the film in a way that puts you, it's hard to explain, where someone will lift you out of reality for a little while to help you understand the reality of the film or to see inside the actors. You know, sometimes you see a musical will be, you know, there's a reason for it being a musical. Like, I guess Sound of Music is like that, where because she's teaching the kids how to sing. And, you know, RRR had the big musical thing, but that was like a competition. They were, but then there's movies where, like, you know, this one is guys in prison who probably don't often choreograph dance scenes. But what we're doing is we're seeing their inner lives in cases like that. We're being transported into their fantasy world, which I think is pretty interesting. I always love to examine the realities of film and how, you know, for instance, in a Tom Cruise movie, there is no such thing as Tom Cruise. That kind of question about film. And in a film like this, where it's like prisoners don't do choreographed dancing, but when you see it, you have to be able to let yourself go for a minute and then come back to the reality of the film. And I love being challenged like that. And when it's done properly, when it's done,
and it's just a beautiful song, incredible song, and a great filmmaker and incredible actors. Like, this is like A-list all the way. So I'm very excited. It comes out May 1st. Cannot wait. That gives us lots more time for hopefully more songs, more trailers, more like behind the scenes. So I'm really looking forward to that.
More chances for me to go on and on and on about things.
That's good enough. That's what we're here for. So put in the comments, is there anything Burke did not cover? Because I think he pretty much covered it all.
I have not scratched the surface
I
of
have
the
barely-
fantasy worlds of film and storytelling.
And be sure to visit Burke's music channel. And we'll catch you
Yeah.
guys next time. Bye.
Bye everybody.